Hey everyone, welcome back to another live stream here on I2I Disney Through Our Eyes. It's our Monday night hangout where we talk about Walt Disney World, general Disney park stuff. And we have a lot to talk about on this week. It's talking about Disney pass reservations. We talk about some new things that are going to be opening up at Walt Disney World after the COVID-19 closure. It seems like every Monday since we've been doing this, there's been more and more that's been available for us to talk about in a time where the parks aren't really open. But thankfully, we have plenty to talk about and discuss all that tonight. You know him and you love him. I brought in my friend, Conor Brown from WDW Opinion. Conor, what is going on?
What a day. What a day. My goodness, man.
Tell me where your head is at right now on what we will now dub as Disney Park Pass Reservation Day.
You mean the Park Pass apocalypse? Because I think that's what we should refer to it as. Yeah, so, we've known about the theme park reservation system for a while. When I say know about it, I mean for the last month, Disney has basically announced, if you're going to get into the theme parks, you need a reservation in order to get in when they reopen after their COVID-19 closures. We didn't know what the system was going to look like. But we just knew, people had to have a reservation in order to enter a theme park. Last Friday, we got word that, this new system was going to be called the Park Pass system. And then the first round of individuals who were able to book theme park reservations, well, they were going to come up on June 22nd, which is today. That first round of individuals is, of course, people who have a existing Walt Disney World Resort Hotel reservation anytime from now through 2021, if you have stuff booked through then, and who have valid theme park tickets attached to their My Disney Experience account. So basically anyone with those two things, tickets in My Disney Experience attached to their account and a resort reservation in My Disney Experience attached to their account, could book their theme park reservations. It opened up at 7. I don't think a single person got in at 7 this morning. We were seeing waits of 9 hours plus. And for a lot of those people, they still haven't gotten what they were set out to try to accomplish when it comes to reservations.
So I think that's where we probably want to go from here, is tell each of our experiences, because you and I both have trips coming up, or that we had originally planned this year, and tell our stories. Because I'll tell you, before I get into mine, I had a certain plan. That plan went out the door because it took me forever to actually get in there to the reservation system. But I ended up getting basically what I wanted in a shocking way. Are you happy with your experience today at all, or are you more frustrated with it?
I'm pretty frustrated. I knew it was gonna be crazy. Like there've been, Disney and technology has not always been the best. I still give them a lot more credit than I think other people do. I think things like My Disney Experience, I think overall it's really great, but there are just times where it can really hinder an experience, especially when you're trying to have, a magical vacation or what have you. My issue with what had happened today was the fact that Disney knew tens of thousands of people were going to come to their websites. And it's not that they didn't do a good job of preparing for that, right? I think no matter how much work you can do on the back end of a website, if a certain number of people hit your website, it's going to crash. It's going to take time to load, stuff like that. I think they did a poor job leading up to that. I think, I was talking with a mutual friend of ours, Keith Groshans, and he was saying the same sort of thing about why wouldn't they just stagger it? Like anyone that has a hotel reservation from now through 2021, if you have it, pushed out to 2021, was able to book theme park reservations starting today. Of course, they were going to get so many people doing that. Why wouldn't you do something where, hey, listen, if you have a July reservation, today's your day to book. If you have a August reservation, 2 weeks from now, that's your day to book. Kind of like they did with FastPass Plus. It was 60 days before you get there, to kind of just alleviate this from happening to people. And I think there's so much unsure going on in the world right now, especially in the Walt Disney World, that these sorts of things happening are only making people more and more anxious when it's taking 9 hours, of refreshing a web page to get what you want.
Yeah, it was frustrations all around, and we've got a lot of people popping in. So let's say hello to a couple of them. We want to hear y'all's perspectives about this too. If you've done a reservation, the system today, if you've taken part in that, but even if you've just been kind of following the trend. JM, what's going on, my friend? Avery, Alex, good to see you again, buddy. Nice to see you here. Tori's also in the house. Avery says Disney's Hollywood Studios was the first to reach capacity. Is that true, Connor?
Yes, so they reached capacity, and Disney hasn't been really great at this. I don't know what they mean by reaching capacity. I don't know if that means, right now only people with hotel reservations can book theme park reservations. In 4 days, annual pass holders are going to be able to book, even if they don't have a Disney hotel reservation. Are there going to be more spots for them? Are there going to be more spots in a week from now or a few more days after that, when people who don't have reservations, who don't have annual passes, who just have regular tickets, are there going to be spots for them to book? I think that's going to be interesting, like if Disney's holding back spots for people. But yeah, so Hollywood Studios was the first, and really across the board, those 2 dates, July 15th and July 16th, the first 2 days that Hollywood Studios is open, those are the only ones that I've seen across the board, no matter the day, no matter the month, no matter the park, that have been, booked up fully.
Yeah.
And I guess that's to be expected. It has Galaxy's Edge and all that stuff, but it still is the smallest park in Walt Disney World. And when you look at the offerings of what's available when it's going to reopen, that actually has the least amount of attractions that's going to be available to people. Like all their shows, none of those will be up and running when they reopen.
And those are big crowd eaters too. So you got to wonder, how does that play into what capacity actually is for this thing? Because if they're calling capacity, what they could do, to the maintaining social distancing and all of that.
Exactly, yeah.
And you don't have those people eaters, for lack of a better term, to help spread people out. It could get even a little bit more interesting in there. So yeah, I'm not surprised that Hollywood Studios was the first one to hit the capacity level there. Let's see. Tori also says that her mom did a reservation. Tori, share with us in the chat window how that went for your mom. We're all interested in hearing everybody else's experiences with this. Captain Akron's in the house. He is our winner for trivia night last Thursday, so there you go.
Congratulations.
He's won a couple times, but he was able to. We had a very competitive Toy Story 3 trivia night. Like, I was shocked at how we usually have this group. I call them the squad that dominates a lot of trivia night, but somehow this last trivia night they all just like spread the points. So it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. So why don't we do this? Give me some specifics about your experience with the reservation system, so people can kind of know maybe what to expect, or some of the maybe things that you saw, or hints or tips that you might have, and then I'll share mine as well. So why don't you go ahead?
So I woke up at before 7, fired up the old computer to get in, and I had already checked everything, double checked everything to make sure the people in my party, had their tickets assigned to them. Everyone was on our hotel reservations. Everyone was in my Disney experience and stuff like that. So then I went forward, and it just took forever to load the first page. And the first page is basically to log in to my Disney experience, which was where that, I posted on my Instagram.
I saw that.
First impressions are everything. I thought it was so funny that they have the pink castle up there, which, when the theme parks are going to reopen, that new and improved Cinderella castle that's going to be painted more of a pinkish hue, that's going to be pretty much done. So Disney put that up on the My Disney Experience website in like a caricature, and I was like, oh, people are going to be upset when it's going to be bad images, right? A bad memory of things like that. So that took forever to get in, and then finally I was able to, get to the point where I could press the button that said get park passes. When I hit get park passes. Then I was put in the queue. I had the spaceship or Space Mountain, a little caricature, and it said, 15 minutes, and it was a countdown timer. And that 15 minutes probably lasted 30 minutes because every time it would get to 30 seconds down, it would go back up. So it just kept going over and over and over. So once I did that, I had a couple trips that I was going to book. One in September, that was me and my mom, and then one right after that in October that my mom and my father were going on. And I was just like, hey guys, I'm not working today. I'll book everything for you because I also wanted to see how it was working. I was able to book the first 3 days of my mom and I's trip, and then the fourth day I had a reservation, and then it said one or more errors in your request. And it had a little icon next to my mom, and it said, this person has reached their park pass limit, basically saying that they had too much.
Interesting.
We're all annual pass holders. So a huge thing that's happening, and this has been reported across the board by many, many, many people out there, is those people who have annual passes, but who also have a hotel reservation, a lot of them are getting hit with the, hey, you can't have more than 3 park reservations, even though they have a hotel reservation. So the hotel reservation thing, as long as you have enough, tickets, you can book a park pass for the length of your stay. But if you don't have a hotel reservation, annual pass holders are able to book 3 days at any one time, right? So you can have 3 reservations in the can. We believe what's happening is that's superseding the fact that people have resort reservations. So it's basically saying once this person gets to 3, they're done, even though they have a stay that's 6 days long or what have you. It's so weird because it's letting me, an annual pass holder who's in the same room as my mom on the same reservation as my mom, book more, but it's not letting her book that 4th one. So that's going to be a huge deal and you try to call and it's just busy. I'm hearing reports that when people actually get to a cast member, the cast member says, we can't do anything for you. We can only report this glitch. So they're reporting glitch and putting in tickets for all of that. That's a big deal because, you don't want to upset your annual pass holders, especially right now when, we're thinking of, you can't park hop with right now and the annual pass. That's kind of like the big thing. It's the ability to park hop whenever you want. So difficult. So yeah, I'm going to try again tomorrow. I'm going to, try to call more and more. But I got to get these days booked. And I think my big fear is once this system gets opened up to the other annual pass holders and then eventually to the people with just the regular tickets that don't have hotel reservations, it's just going to be harder and harder and harder.
Why 3? What's, why 3 park passes? There's 4 parks. Why not say 4? Well, you get 1 for each. That would make the most sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, especially if you're staying off property, right? And you're an annual pass holder. Let's just say you book, at the Caribe Royale, which is like right off property, this resort. You're only allowed to book 3 days, even if you have, you're going to be in Florida for 5 days. I don't know. It's interesting why they came up with that, number, but then also why it's 3 days over, the course of however. I guess that it's just weird because it's technically from now until January. So I guess, you got to use 1 day before you can get the next day or stuff. There's a lot of, thinking behind it of when you're going to want to book stuff. Which
I think there's a little bit of overthinking in some areas, probably what's going on with that. Look, we're sitting here on our side of things saying this is confusing, this is a little frustrating, and we both know, I think you know better than anybody, that Disney's trying their best, but there are some areas where we continue to see frustrations with, I would say Disney's website has not been the most impressive thing in terms of speed and ability to handle capacity. So I always try to kind of, when we're expressing frustrations about it, I know that there are people that are trying their hardest, especially, those people that are talking to people on the phone. They're not, people are upset because they can't get their certain
oh my God,
park day.
Please do not shoot the messenger.
Yes.
The only thing I kept thinking today was at least my day is not as bad as those poor cast members on the other end of the phone. It must have just been horrific, especially when you think of something like, I would assume that they're all in a call center. They're probably still understaffed because, you know, they can't have a huge amount of people in that building. So it's difficult. It's tough because, you know, Disney didn't ask for this. I think everything that they've done so far, when it comes to closing the parks, when it comes to reopening, when it comes to giving people their money back, has been exceptional. It's been phenomenal. I think this is a huge, huge blemish. That's very difficult. And, you know, you wonder about, they're saying, you know, later this summer, we hope to let people start purchasing tickets again. We hope to open up more hotel opportunities so people can, you know, still book in 2020. With what's going on with this thing, and you have to have a theme park reservation to get into the theme parks. Obviously it's been up for 12 hours, right? But
right.
I can see that happening right now.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's day one. It's only going to get worse, I feel like. But, you know, I would say I was not shocked that there were so many people trying to do that today. I think everybody knew that was coming. I anticipated some of the frustrations, but I don't think I anticipated, for me personally, you know, some of the length of time it actually took me to get to certain spots. Because what I liked, which you described how it took you to get to certain little, well, I'm in this queue, essentially. Now I'm in this queue. It's essentially like the different types of portions of queues that you see where you'll be in the line of a ride at Disney World. And then you get past the fast pass line. And then it's like, okay, now I'm actually we're literally queuing up into the ride vehicle areas. So that's what it felt like for me today, except that I really wasn't ever getting past the entrance of the actual system. I ran into the problem of, I was up actually at 5 o'clock because Jessica had to go to work early and we had a trailer reaction we had to do because Disney decided to drop a trailer at 10:30 at night when we were already, you know, going to sleep. So I was up ready to go because I was working on that video, and sure enough, I had everything lined up, ready to go. Couldn't get in. Couldn't even get past that first like sign in wall. It would sign me out, and then I'd have to sign back in, and then I would just see that pink castle, and I'm just like, look, it looks great, but I need to get past this point. And literally, I tell you this in all seriousness, I finally got to the point about 7:45. I said, okay, I need to go catch an hour of sleep because I got up so early. I'm gonna go to sleep for an hour, come back. Same story. Said, okay, I'm going to go. I took a walk and do something else for another hour or so. Same story. Couldn't get past the pink castle, that dang pink castle.
I was the same way for a while. I took a shower. I was like, all right, I can't do this. I
ate lunch. I did several other things. And eventually about 2 o'clock, I got past that point. And then I forget what, I saw the Space Mountain caricature. And then eventually I literally was about to give up and say, I don't think it's going to happen today. And I was like, there's probably every pass taken up because my trip actually now is in August. So I wasn't super worried about everything getting taken, so to speak. But, you know, I didn't want to waste my time and not be smart about getting in there early to get those reservation times. And I was like, well, we're not going to get in there till afternoon, you know, noon time or whatever the reservation time to actually walk in is. And so about 3 o'clock, I finally did get there. And lo and behold, as soon as I got into the reservation system, it was perfect. No problems whatsoever. I was expecting to see, you know, if the park was open from 9 to 7, maybe I was going to get a 10 a.m. You can walk in. Every one of the parks, I got the opening time to the closing time.
Oh, so do you want me to explain that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So they're not. So other theme parks are doing hey, you show up at this time.
Okay.
Get in. They're not. Their reservation is just for the day. So they're just giving you the hours of the theme park that it's open, and you can show up whenever you want, and you're free to come and go as well. Because that was a big thing that I had too, but it was confirmed to me on Friday that you could A, come and go as much as you wanted within that day, and B, you could show up whenever you wanted. You just, you know, could only get in at 9 when it opened and leave at 7 when it opened.
See, I did, and I had that wrong in my head, and that's what I was kind of worried about, and why we have considered moving our trip to later this year, because we were worried that we would get into some slot where we were, not going to be able to enter the park until a certain part of the day. But I'm thankful to know that didn't happen, and so the fact that I got the parks that I wanted on a certain day, after the waiting game, I was fine with the system. It was just getting through the queues, so to speak. That was the frustrating part to me. And I think that goes back to what we said earlier, why the website can't handle the capacity it's going to see on certain days, but also why there wasn't a tier system set up to this. You can come online at this time and do it, or this day, and set up your reservations, because I think it could have made things a lot easier. They have their reasons, I'm sure. But I will say that my frustrations were just really limited to the getting through the actual queue part, and not actually into the click this date and that date. Because once that was done, I loved it, and I thought it was it worked very well at that point. So I guess I would it seems like the reservation system, all it is it eliminates park hopping. Now that I really understand it, that's really. I'm trying to get my head around, while we're sitting here talking about it, why they just didn't just say, hey, no park hopping. You pick one and that's all you can go to for the day. I mean, why couldn't they have just said that?
They did. So park hopping has been eliminated for this reopening period. Right. I don't know. I think my other big thing with it was that they announced it on Friday and then opened it on Monday. And I think there were so many questions, like, Kyle, that you had with, like, can I come and go? Is it going to open up at 10? Will I get screwed at like a 5 o'clock in the afternoon reservation? That's not worth it. That's not worth a trip down to Florida and stuff like that. So my thing was, there wasn't enough education being done from Friday to Monday. I mean, it's impossible to do that for a completely new system. And then on top of that, the getting in was so long. Like you're saying, though, once you're in, you can get whatever you want. Yeah. Like I can get whatever I want. My mom can't, though, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And that glitch is so frustrating, and it's almost like if you delayed it a little bit, you did those tiers or whatever, it would reduce stress for the cast members, for the guests, for Disney as a whole. And I think that would have gone a long way. But I also know, it's almost like they didn't learn from their mistakes, because I've known that they've run into this problem so many times.
Yeah, before. This sounds familiar. And Avery said this.
Treating that, yeah.
Avery said this reminds me of the Nintendo open registration for their Mario contest thing at Grand Central Terminal. All the reservations were gone within a minute, and it sounds a little bit similar to Galaxy's Edge and Rise of the Resistance, which you still have not done, right? I haven't either, but you haven't.
No, I have not done it. No, I had the trip in April. I got canceled. So we'll see about that. But now, they're saying no virtual queues when you get in. So they got rid of FastPass Plus. They were not going to do that for the reopening. And now Disney is saying, we're also not going to have any virtual queues. So I'm interested to see how that's all going to work. I think it's going to be really limited. I think people are going to be surprised with how few guests are being let in. But, I've done the math in my head enough to know that the resorts that they have open right now, even if they were all full, you won't reach capacity even close to, a capacity of what they want at all 4 theme parks, every single day. It's impossible from a numbers perspective.
So are you starting to kind of, I listened to y'all's podcast and I want you to talk about that in a second here, but I hope I'm not reading too much into this, but I feel like you're starting to swing kind of in favor that this might actually be a good time to go to Disney in terms of crowd levels. I mean, obviously, because there's only so many, like you said, these certain resorts can only hold this many people. They're not letting any new tickets in. So the shows aren't happening. The fireworks aren't happening. Things that tend to gather crowds, virtual, anything that gathers a crowd is not going to be happening. But if you really just want to kind of take your time and not have to fight crowds all day and just enjoy the spectacle that is a Disney park, maybe this is the time to go. Are you starting to kind of feel yourself going that way?
Oh, absolutely. If you are of the mindset that the best part of a Disney vacation is being in the Disney theme parks,
Yeah.
this is the best time to go. If you're okay with the traveling, restrictions, if you're okay with the masks and the other procedures that you have to do, if you're okay with that and you don't need to do anything, you don't need to ride a certain attraction, you don't need to eat at a place, you don't need to see the fireworks, then right now, when these places reopen, I think it's going to be awesome. If you want to wait until they open for a week, totally do that. I think we're going to see a lot in the first week of what it's going to look like in the coming weeks and months. But the thing about the Park Pass reservation system is also it's going to put a cap on certain things. It's going to limit it where when you see something like Universal, they don't have a reservation system in place right now. So as people start to get more acclimated to going out, maybe there start to get more and more crowds at those parks. They'll still be managed, and stuff like that. But what I would hate is something where you show up to Universal and you get there a little late and they're like, oh, we've reached capacity. And then you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? So I think the Park Pass system, in theory, it's going to be a good thing. Yeah. But like I was saying, I think from a crowd perspective, it's going to be really cool. And I would also say this isn't the year to take those once in a lifetime trips. Yeah, right? Let's wait for 2021. If we're celebrating anniversaries, birthdays, family reunions, first time, the big trip you've always wanted to do, we can push that down the road.
Yeah, that's a great perspective, and I like that you've reiterated. We talked about it on previous shows. Consider really what you want your trip to be, and just keep that in your mind when you're deciding if this is the time to go or not for you. But so far, the reservation system, obviously a few kinks, a few frustrations. But if we can get through all that, it seems like there may be some upside to this. So we'll continue to watch what happens with that. Now, I will say this. I want Conor to talk about their latest podcast episode. But while he's doing that, I want to do a quick poll of the room. Let's just throw a scenario out there for everyone watching right now. I want to hear your response in the comments. If you only had 3 parks that you could go into, the situation that Conor just described, which one would you leave out? If you could only get 3 park passes on your trip for whatever reason, and it never got worked out, which one would you choose? But Conor, I really liked y'all's episode this week. You sat down with another YouTuber and discussed a lot about what's been going on with the changes coming to the park. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this week on the WDW Opinion Podcast, I sat down with Vincent from Vincent Vision. I highly recommend you type that into YouTube after this video is done. Of course, he's got a lot of great videos. And he is actually an Orlando local who's been to the reopenings of City Walk, Disney Springs, Universal Studios Florida, Islands of Adventure, and even SeaWorld. He presents, his vlogging style in a unique way. It's a ton of fun. But him going to these reopenings, it's cool because even though Disney is the big player in Orlando, the other theme parks have a big impact on the industry. Things that they're doing, you're going to see in Disney parks and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So I had him on the show to kind of talk about all the procedures in place, what his experiences were like visiting Disney Springs, visiting Universal Orlando, visiting SeaWorld even. He's super fun. It was a great conversation. And, Kyle and I were just talking about, is this going to be a good time to go for you? We talk about crowd levels. We talk about expectations and what he experienced in these revisiting these theme parks. So if you're kind of on the fence or you want to just know more about what these reopenings are looking like, I highly recommend you check out that episode. You can search for it wherever you get podcasts by searching WDW Opinion or going to wdwopinion.com/88 for episode 88.
And as always, in the description of this video, if you're watching this on the replay as well, that is down there for Conor's website, wdwopinion.com, and his YouTube channel as well. So make sure you check both of those things out there. We got a response from Captain Akron. He says, "That's tough. Magic Kingdom. What is wrong with you?" You, sir, I am. You know what? I take away your win from trivia night, Captain Akron, just for that statement right there.
Dude, yikes!
I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's a tough. That's a really tough call for me. I love every Disney park equally, not equally. If I'm honest, I'm a zookeeper by trade, so I have an affinity for the animal kingdom, even though they claim it's not a zoo. Let me tell you all a secret. It's a zoo. It's just not their typical zoo.
Not the zoo.
What about you, Connor?
When they first opened, did you know that?
What's that now? Say that one more time.
When they were first opening, one of their slogans for that theme park was "Nata Zoo." So like all one word, Nata Zoo. So it was Nata Zoo, Kyle. You know better.
I know, but I just love to give them a hard time about it. But what about you? What would you leave out of that scenario if you had to?
It's difficult for me just because I haven't done things like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway or Rise of Resistance. Hollywood Studios is my favorite theme park, so I would still, pick that as one of the ones that I would visit. And then, the idea that even though there isn't a whole lot open, those two big e-ticket attractions I would love to experience. Going back to Magic Kingdom, I think it's got to be that. I mean, how can you pass that up?
Right.
With all that we've gone through in the last few months, I would probably have been Epcot if they didn't just announce that, they are bringing back Food and Wine as soon as they open in an abbreviated fashion.
Still,
so I guess it's got to be Animal Kingdom if there are any three. But yeah. But I also think, look at these parks are all going to have abbreviated hours, and Epcot's the one. Epcot's not opening until 11. So when it's opening each day, World Showcase is going to be open, but it's typically staying open the latest until 9 o'clock. So I think that's kind of a big benefit as well.
So I would agree with you that if you're asking me right now, even without the pandemic, just because of all the construction that's going on at Epcot, I would say that's where it's got to go. But there's something about spending an evening in the World Showcase, trying all that delicious food. And I don't know why. I just love walking around the World Showcase, usually at night when it's not scorching on that concrete. So, I call it the Epcot Death March for a reason, because I've seen many bodies laid on the side there.
Many a victim,
and usually it's by their own hand as well. Because
they know what they're getting into.
They know exactly who they are too. If I'm describing you, you know who you are. Anyway, Connor, it's been fun talking to you about the reservation system. We're going to learn a lot more about it, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of news to talk about in 2 weeks, because next week I will not be here. I will be basking in the sun on a beach somewhere far off from here. And when you see me again, I will be red completely, because I do not tan at all.
I hear you. I hear you on that regard. Kyle, thanks so much for having me on. Man, I needed this today. I needed to just talk Disney with some people. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.
Pleasure is all mine, and the pleasure is mine for having everybody here who was chatting along with us. And even if you're watching on the replay, we appreciate you coming by to hang out with Connor and myself. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks here for another edition. Thank you all for joining us. Until we assemble again, may the force be with you, and we'll see you real soon.